Good evening. Welcome to the April 10th meeting of the Lents Neighborhood Livability Association. Before we get started, we kindly ask you to please silence your cell phones. A couple of announcements before we get started. We have our Neighbor to Neighbor event coming this Saturday, starting with breakfast here at the church at 8:15. Then we go out and assist neighbors in Lents with projects around their homes. If you wish to get involved with volunteering and helping neighbors, this is a great group to join up with. You can see Bob Fields for that. Our second event is our weekly West Rock cleanup on April 19th and 26th, starting at 7:30 a.m. This weekly event allows us to pay for running our nonprofit, so we are not dependent on city funding through grants. Our third event this month is on Easter Sunday, April 20th, at the VFW breakfast starting at 9 a.m. This is an event to show our support for the VFW auxiliary. You get a full breakfast for $10 or their special for $11. Consider coming out and joining us and meet some great folks. Our third and last event for April is on April 26th, the 82nd Avenue of Roses Parade. This is their 18th year of dedicated volunteers, and we will be joining them this year representing the LNLA. There's a sign-up sheet on the table if you wish to participate with us. We have 6 t-shirts left for those who wish to show their support. Please sign the petition to get the option for tolling on the ballot. All of this information can be found on our website at lentsneighborhoodlivabilityassociation.org under the About tab, Calendar. Our special guests this evening are City Councilor Loretta Smith and City Councilor Jamie Dunphy. I will now turn over this meeting to our honored guests. Thank you both for joining us.
We really seem to reflect our needs. Our city is in a moment of multiple crises at the same time, and I'm really aware of how East Portland has gotten the short end of the stick every time since we became the city of Portland, since the city border moved over us and none of the promises came through. I know that every single person in this room is frustrated with how things are going. I'm frustrated with how things are going. I've been on the job for about 4 months. Every day I kick over a new rock and find a turd that the previous city council tried to hide. We're going to make some hard choices and in the next couple months here about our budget, but this city council is capable of meeting the challenges of the day. I'm proud to serve as the vice chair of the Housing and Homelessness Committee. I'm also on the Arts and Economy, the Labor and Workforce Committee with my fellow councilor Loretta Smith, who is the chair of that, and I'm also on the Governance Committee.
You're busy.
I am busy, and I'm loving coming out into the district as much as I can, and I hate being trapped in City Hall 40 hours a week, because that's not the point. The point is to show up in the community, and we know that a lot of folks in our side of town have stopped coming to City Hall. That, if you live out in our neighborhood, you stop showing up because you know they're not going to come fill our potholes. They're not going to respond to our asks for cleanups, right? When I first showed up in City Hall, I knew that was the reality. And so rather than hiring a policy-focused chief of staff who was going to be in the district, I hired my community liaison first. His name's Amani. He's not here tonight. I gave him the evening off, but he lives in the district with us. And he was the director of constituent services for the Secretary of State until I stole him away. And his job is to not be in City Hall. His job is to show up to your streets and understand what's going on and why the city isn't showing up, and understand why services aren't hitting the way they should. So I'm also here tonight specifically because I want you to shoot it straight with me. I'm not trying to talk like a politician. I've only been one for 4 months. I want to understand your realities. I want to feel your anger. I want to feel your frustration about the state of the world right now. And I want to try and make it better. And I can't promise it's going to be better, but I promise you I'm going to try as hard as I can. So I'm going to shut up now because I mostly want to hear from y'all, and I want to turn it over to my amazing colleague, Loretta Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You caught me while I was speaking. My name's Loretta Smith. and I am the third of your trio of counselors for District 1. And I'm a former Multnomah County Commissioner and longtime staffer, over 20 years working for Congressman and Senator Wyden. And so it's great to be here. This is what I know. This is what I've done for many years, attending town hall meetings, neighborhood meetings, making sure that we connect where people are at. I know, like Jamie knows, that you all are the most important people to hear from. And to hear what your needs are important to me. I sit on the Labor and Workforce Committee. I actually chair that. And we passed a bill to get referred to the bid committee around making sure that we have apprenticeships and that we have youth employment. We zeroed that out of the budget. And at this time, I just don't think that we should be zeroing out opportunity. We have so many opportunities in this region, as we learned today, that there are 117 projects, infrastructure projects. Now, I don't know if you've been watching the federal news or watching the news and see what's happening on the federal level, but it's looking like we're headed towards a recession. If that is so, the quickest way for us to get out of recession is to put boots on the ground, jobs in the community, and start moving our economy. We know that the average salary for someone in District 1 is $60,000 compared to the $90,000 to $93,000 average salary in the other 3 districts. So we have to do more and we have to do more with less in our district. But we also have to put opportunity in the district. That is our book of business, what we do at City of Portland. Now, some of you have said to me, it appears that we're the regional homeless division of Portland, and kind of, but not so. We have an IGA with Multnomah County, and they're supposed to do the homeless services. We're the infrastructure folks. We're the folks who keep our sidewalks, our streets, our street lights, the fire, and the police, and the water, and our sewers. That's what we do. But we oftentimes get pulled in different directions with book of businesses that don't have anything to do with what our job is. And that's the part that's tricky, because generally, helping people takes you off course, and helping vulnerable people and people who are at risk, that takes your attention. And so for me, I want to make sure that we fill this gap of getting the unsheltered folks off the sidewalks, making sure that we have places for them to go, making sure that we have police in our neighborhoods, that when we call out here on Knapp Street in Henderson, that they actually come. We want to make sure that we have our emergency resources like the fire, 911, that we have it working properly. You really never know what you need until you need it. And so that's what we do at the City of Portland. But with this new government, it has given us an opportunity to really have an opportunity to talk to you all and to be in our community. Some of you are tired of seeing us, but I think that's going to be, you're going to see us for the next 4 years at neighborhood meetings. You're going to see us at parades. You'll see us in churches. You'll see us in town hall meetings, trying to gauge what you all want. And that's why I'm here. That's why I think Jamie is here. I know he's been, everywhere I go, I see him, so I know I'm in the right place if I see Jamie. And so for me, this is really not work, right? It's just one long day for me every day. It's just not work for me. And I love it. I'm tired, I'm energized, I'm inspired by what I see, what I hear, and I see all these different cool things that my colleagues are doing. Jamie, he did a music noise ordinance yesterday, day before yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And so he gave a different take on, a noise ordinance and why we need to change it and do something different, because it was impacting small businesses that that have been pushed out of our community. So, and I appreciate that. And I would have never thought to do that personally, but we have people with different levels of consciousness and lenses. And so it is important that we use our lens and that we have an opportunity to share that with you and that you can share with us. And so I'm going to stop talking because I don't think it's about me. I want to hear about you all. I want to hear, Jimmy, can you come up? Let's answer some questions. I want to answer any of your questions. I know we're in budget season. I know we have a $91 million deficit, I'm told. So we're going to open this up to questions. Yes, ma'am, in the plaque.
I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming into the community. I brought some pictures that kind of depict exactly what goes on in our community.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to take a look at that. The middle one shows some of our children that have had to walk past sex trafficking areas, young women that are approached as they get off the school bus
Right.
and go to their homes. The middle pictures are pictures that I took like years ago.
Uh-huh.
The ones on the right and the left are recent, and things don't change. I think people tend to think Lentz is a dumping ground.
Right.
And you talk about economic development and that type of thing. Our future are these children
Yes.
and the safety of them getting from one place to another. And frankly, all of us being able to walk the streets and feel safe. I don't feel safe. This was taken years, over the years. And it hasn't changed. It gets cleaned up. It gets the same thing again.
Yeah.
I know that your hands are tied in a lot of areas. I work with PMO on voicing these things. I'm a person that is not going to accept this as a norm. I don't want this for my family. I've been in Portland for 50 years. I've worked for Portland. I've been in economic development. I know what can be done.
Right.
And it's frustrating when we're at a point here where we're on the Multnomah County, Clackamas County line. A lot of the homeless know that. They gravitate here because they're not being seen where the police are. So I just wanted to bring to your attention tonight that even though it may improve in a lot of areas, it hasn't improved on 92nd between Flavel and Crystal Springs and some of these surrounding areas. And it's very hard to get ODOT, PDOT, the city, to take responsibility for areas that cross. So these are some things that I wanted to bring to your attention tonight.
Thank you.
I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother. We can't let our children walk these streets. We don't. And that's the reality of it. And I will not accept this as our reality. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm just only a question just only right to here, sorry about that. Just only right to here, like 30 people right here where it's not feeling safety that. You think like other people just feeling safety that?
No. 100.
Yeah. Like I said, this is 92nd and Flavel, right? I lived on 86th and Knapp, 2 blocks
You've seen
north.
that. You've seen it over
Absolutely. And the big field off of the Springwater corridor just south of there. And the whole, the folks moving into the weird path by the Mac station right there and the church, whatever, whichever it is. Absolutely. And
that trailer actually was a sex trafficking ring.
yeah,
And when
it's
I got
incredible.
the police
what's going
onto
on.
them,
Yeah.
they were out of there.
Can I
But our kids have to walk on
It's-
that.
Absolutely.
It's
And
unfair.
I have a 12-year-old daughter. She goes to Park Rose Middle School, but she went to Kelly Elementary, right? I was on the Kelly Elementary PTA for 4 years while I was there. I want to talk about the RVs real quick because I think that this is really important because we know for certain that absolutely nothing good is happening inside of those RVs, right? That human trafficking is happening, that violence, that drugs, that we're seeing them catch on fire, right? We know that our hands have been tied by the courts in some ways, that an RV is considered a domicile, not a vehicle, if a person's inside of it. And so we have to treat it like you're evicting somebody out of an apartment rather than towing a car, right?
And that's unfortunate.
It's ridiculous.
Because the people, they go from one tent trailer and then they go into an RV and say,
Yeah.
this is my home now.
The other part of it is
Instead of
that
looking at the person.
a really fascinating and horrifying thing is that it's apparently cheaper to drive your derelict RV to Portland,
Yes.
grind off the VIN, leave the keys in the ignition, and fly home.
Yep.
And that it costs the city of Portland, after we have been successful in getting people out of these charred remains of a vehicle, we have to tow it, we have to store it for 30 days, and we have to destroy it with a specialty organization that deals with, we basically assume every single one of these is a meth lab, right? And you're not going to just crush it, you have to treat it properly. It's $5,000 for each of those trailers that we have to get rid of. The city has tried different regulations about requiring registration, requiring gray water, requiring all these other things, the inability to transfer it. We don't have a good answer to what to do with these other than continue to try and show, and you're exactly right, like they move from, the RV burns down, they move to a tent, they move to a car, a new RV gets dropped off and the same people are living out of it. I don't have a good answer. I just want to say that I absolutely hear.
To find an answer, whatever we need to do. If it's not on your plate, whatever we need to do.
It's on my plate, certainly. This is my responsibility. This is our responsibility.
Right.
I just don't want to pretend to say I have all the answers. I see the challenge. I understand viscerally the feeling that this is, because like I said, I literally lived around the corner from there. And I absolutely feel, and I hope you feel my frustration as well with the lack of really good options. And even trying to think outside the box, and I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying, even thinking outside the box, I started going down the path of what if we find one of those enormous parking lots and we just say, we set it up and spray paint a 15 by 15 foot square and say that's your 15 by square, you can't park here, but you can park there. Turns out the only way that basically just turns anything into a slum, right? Of course, but trying to think of what our options are is, I want to be creative, I want to be humane, I want to be legal, and I want to be urgent about it. And this is a huge problem and that we need to work together on to find a solution.
I don't know why you can't, once they're sited, you have to go to this area that we've designated. I know they have those type of lots in Vancouver.
Sunderland
Mm-hmm.
is a place where that we pay for,
Right?
and I think we pay $4,500, either $39 or $4,500. I have these two numbers in my head. $4,500 a month, so they can, take these rigs that are hazmat eligible and plug them into infrastructure where they can get water, where they can get electricity. We pay $4,000 a month for every single one of those RVs in there.
Why?
And I pay.
Right.
Yeah, I
pay.
said we pay.
This is a criminal element, and they do not want to abide by any rules.
They won't.
Nope.
So they come to an area where we're low income. There's a lot of people that don't know how to report this, and they take advantage of the area. This is what's happening.
So we're trying to solve one problem. We're trying to get the RVs off the streets to make sure that they're not, dumping and have all this unsanctioned camping. And so we put them in this place, and then we put them there, and that's what's happening. We know that they've shaved off. We know that they've shaved off the VIN numbers. We know that many of them have come from out of state because Oregon has some really good opportunities for people who, I call them service resistors, because the issue is we do have services that will help people who are homeless. But a lot of times people don't want, they're resisting these services. And so that is an area in which is a gray area that we don't have any responsibility over. Now then you can go to the ordinance that's on the books. If we offer you some place to go or take you, if you don't want to go, then you have to go to jail. So that's another issue because we're paying for a high price place to house people in the evening. And that's why I really support the mayor in trying to increase the number of overnight shelters so people can have a place to live. So we're racking our brains trying to figure out how to get those wraparound supports to those people who are in these RV camps and who are on the streets in RVs. But once we get it cleaned up, we get a call, we get it cleaned up, they know the rhythm to all of this.
Oh, yeah.
They know in about 30 days, they're gonna come back.
Yep.
So,
They're gonna move two block spaces down.
Right.
And then back it right back.
exactly.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you both, and thank you for your comments on this issue too. That Councilor Dunphy, you asked us to be straight with you.
Please.
You are the vice chair on the Homelessness and Housing Committee. The second bullet point on their website for this committee, for the charge of this committee, is, among other things, providing shelter. There was a work session on Tuesday, and hours were spent barely touching this issue. There was lots of dialogue about theories of change and pink-themed slides that we can continue to use these buzzwords like crises and, oh, we really care, we see the problem, and yet nothing ever changes.
You're talking about in the homeless committee.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point, the leaders of our city actually need to step up and publicly at meetings start advocating for some solutions. Other cities adjacent to us don't have this problem. There's something happening at the city of Portland that struggles with it, and part of that is that our leaders are not giving voice to the issues in the right forums.
I mean, part of sure, yes, heard, absolutely. But also part of the problem is that the Clackamas County Sheriff drives people to the Portland border and drops them off. We have become the final stop on the railroad. There's nowhere else for us to ship people to. That's how Salt Lake City solved homelessness. As they said, you have friends in Portland, right? Girls, right? There's nowhere else for us to ship people, and I don't think that is really what people are looking for. We're not trying to pass the buck, but we also don't want to become an attractive place for that. But as Councilor Smith said, I have endorsed the mayor's plan to try and increase the number of overnight shelter beds, the missing part of our shelter continuum. I'm actively screaming the loudest about how slow and expensive it is for us to try and build housing, and that we are spending somewhere around $800,000 a unit for an affordable apartment, and that it takes 4 years to build it, right? I have been talking to all the permitting bureaus and all of the financiers and the folks who are actually building the things that we need. I've been talking about why wasn't the city one of the bidders on buying Montgomery Park? I don't know if you guys are about this. $330 million in 2018, went for auction $36 million about 6 months ago. Why didn't the city buy it, gut it, put 800 SROs in there, and then put a bunch of services on the front floor? It happened because we didn't, because A, we don't have any money, and B, I wasn't in office yet, right? The pink themed slides. I like a good pink. I'm not gonna.
It's self-branding.
Well, sure, but also the core of that presentation was about the fact that we are not the city that works, we're the city that plans, and we have 1,000 beautiful PDFs sitting on a dozen different desktops with plans on how to get permitting to work, on plans on how to get folks off the street, on plans on how to create a single list of every homeless person in the city so that they have a single point of contact, and when you show up at a different shelter, we know that. We have all these beautiful plans, and nobody, especially in the old form of government, ever put them together and said, this is the plan. And people have said, Jamie, what is the plan? You're on the housing committee, what's the plan? Well, we have 30 plans. We have plans everywhere, and so it just takes time to get as many of those things, because I've only been there for 4 months. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to have a whole new community involvement process. I don't want to have national experts on SDC waivers come in when we know that we've already did that back in 2019.
System development charges.
Sorry, yeah, system development charges, which are what you get charged
Yes.
if you're building something to like, it's a fee to build parks and extra sewer capacity.
Yes.
We don't need to think about those things, and none of these systems work unless we have a plan. So sure, the pink branding, we can disagree about a good pink slide, but the core of what we're trying to do there is we need to get a plan, and we already did the work. The previous city council, as I said, they never were, they hid as much as they could, they didn't do as much as they could, but also more than anything, they were never incentivized to look over and say, like, what is that person doing right there? I'm in charge of parks, what's happening in Peabody? Why are they not coordinating, right? We're now at a spot to actually coordinate, and we need a plan, and it's going to take more than 4 months, right? It's going to, so we need to be urgent about it. I know.
Yes, sir. You had a question. You look.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was writing down notes, I've got a bunch of things, but
Could
the
you
RVs,
Tell me your name and.
Todd, Littlefield. The RVs, we've got a lot of regulations on housing. And if we had regulations on the RVs, then they would be immediately removed because they don't meet the safety requirements. That would be one thing that we could focus on, to get rid of them.
Well, as I said, the courts have told us we have to treat them like a house, not like a car.
Well, if we do that,
Yeah.
Then
then let's
DDS
do
can
that.
take care of them.
And if they don't meet the safety requirements of a house,
Yeah.
then a house would be demolished.
A house would be condemned and it would take a year.
Well, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, here's the other piece. And then the people inside the house who are human trafficking and drug trafficking, and my question to the mayor is, when he came and brought this to us, I said, so did we not call the police? Well, he doesn't want to call the police on people who are living in RVs, even though they're committing crimes. And so we're stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
I've got an idea. Can
Okay.
we take those people that the mayor does not want to call the police on and drop them off at his house?
Let's do it.
I mean, really.
You know, feeling what I feel. Feeling what my neighbor's feeling. Because that guy is never feeling like what I feel for 5 years.
But before this gets out of hand, actually, so I received permission, from Shaw, yes, to actually speak on, yes. So I don't want to steal your guys' thunder for too long, but they did bring up something that's my jurisdiction.
I never did it,
the kids and all that.
Can you,
No, somebody always interrupts me.
can you identify yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm
And then
about
we'll come
to.
back.
I'm about to, just telling you. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Dean Salazar. I serve on the Portland Children's Levy, and I'm running for David Douglas School Board. And I've served in government local positions for a few years now. I'm proud to be endorsed by both these fine people, actually for David Douglas School Board. And so one thing that you in particular brought up was how the kids, near the bus stops, they're being placed in positions where they're not safe. That is part of our responsibility as a school district. So one thing that I want to say that you can do also is talk to the school districts and try to get them to act on that as well. Now, I will admit I'm not particularly sure if the busing placement of the bus stops is like a school district issue or a county-wide issue. But either way, they'll still probably be needing to work together on that issue. So that is true, and so we actually need to be talking to our school district leaders about these issues, because you're right. They shouldn't be being put in bus stops that are close to drug trafficking or sex trafficking, being approached by strangers. That's just not right. So part of that responsibility is in the school districts, and we need to start telling the school districts that we need to be helping our kids be safe, because that is part of the Safe Routes to School program and part of our school safety responsibilities.
Dion, our kids are not safe in their homes, in
And
their
yes.
neighborhoods.
And that is, I 100%
So this is not
agree,
just
Tom.
a school district
Right.
situation,
They're not
this is a general population situation.
Yes, I am very aware, and that means that we actually be working with the city on that issue as well. What I am saying is that part of this is also about placement, because you need to be ensuring that they are not in places where that is happening for the school bus stops.
Well, if they have to walk to school and they're in the route.
Yep.
So, Shar, remember a couple weeks ago, we had things, and we had these young kids, these middle school children, and they got up and spoke to me.
Your town hall?
Yeah, at the town hall I had at REAP, and they said they're afraid. They're afraid in their homes. They could hear gunshots and those things. And I told that story at the council meeting last week to the chief of police. And I said, what should we be telling kids? Because we have a public safety department that goes out and they do a lot of things to try to keep our neighborhoods safe. He said, you tell the children to call 911. I said, the issue with 911, and they'll look at it as a non-emergency. I said, the issue is that they don't come out to our district.
Yeah.
They won't come out and look at and see what's going on. And so I think we need to organize with some sort of wish list of what we want to happen from our police and what's happening in these places that you have taken great pictures of, so that we can take it back. We have a unit up until June 30th that's called our Portland Solutions. And they're the people that are supposed to come out and handle this kind of thing quickly. It is not associated with the joint office. It is the city of Portland's solution that's supposed to act immediately. And so what I want to do is, if you all are calling in, there's a number. Call my office so we can keep track. And we can call Portland Solutions and say, out here on Knapp Street, this is what's happening. We need to make sure that we get that out there. And so we are your voice. When you're running up against the bureaucracy, we're the people to knock that bureaucracy down and make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do. And that's the way I look at our job.
I will say, Tim, I did.
Oh, it was just about, you talking about putting the motorhomes in a big field or something? Well, Dunphy, California, where our daughter lives, they tried that.
Yeah.
It was a disaster.
That's what
they
I keep
had
hearing.
like 1,000 motorhomes in there. Then it got uncontrollable and smelled like a garbage dump. Then when they finally got them out, I don't know where they all went to. They had to take all the topsoil off.
Yeah, because
It cost them millions of dollars just to get from human waste, gas, oil, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you do that, it's going to be an uncontrollable situation.
That's what I honestly,
People don't think about
Exactly
the waste
right.
and
Yeah, that's why-
that was
ground.
why I didn't get to finish my thought. I got distracted by my own thoughts. But like honestly, that was where I was going. It's like I was trying to think like, let's create a giant campground and get the state parks out here. They know how to run a giant campground, right? No, like every scenario that I found, every example I could find, it just turns into it amplifies how bad these things can get. It concentrates it in a way that costs the city millions and doesn't actually fix anything. So you're exactly right. That was what I
it did
found.
work.
Aaron, would you also explain, since you're an expert with putting people into housing when they're not ready to go into housing, what happens?
Service resistance,
Well, a lot of them don't like rules.
Yeah.
right?
Say, I was a janitor in buildings in Vancouver for homeless for years. And of course, being a janitor, I'm not supposed to know anything, but actually I know more than the councilors did because I'm in contact with the people all the time.
Right.
They don't like to follow rules at all.
So how do you
Once you get them
folks around
in,
that?
it takes an act of God to get them out. You can't just say, oh, you gotta leave. No, they gotta go through this step, this step, this step. And it takes months to get them out.
And what happens to the housing in the meantime, Aaron?
They tear the apartments up.
Yeah.
We had fires, we had floods.
Yeah.
Brand new buildings, you get somebody's sink runs over their toilet.
Yeah.
It goes all the way down if they're on the top floor.
They
So
don't
you
wanna-
ruin 3 or 4
they don't wanna
apartments in one
upkeep.
shot.
Even if you gave
I've
some
seen
of
it
these
happen
people
over and over.
Yeah.
zero rent, food, mental health, they will probably not keep up the house.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of options. We can take people to jail. That's an expensive alternative. So we have to figure out how do we get folks the wraparound supports that they need so that they can be clear-eyed.
That's the food where it's like you people give it to that. Look at that. It's right there. It's thrown away.
What is it?
What is it?
The food, what let the guys give it to them.
The food that people go and give them
Say?
bags full of
Yeah.
food in the bike path, right? So this takes me back to the bike path because I've heard that no one has mentioned it. I'm sorry.
Could you please stand up and introduce yourself?
My name is Paola Hernandez Nunez. I'm a 16-year-old high school student. This takes me back, honestly, back to the school situations, and no one has actually mentioned the bike paths. We live in front, well,
Francis and 94 and Bush.
Across the multi-use path.
Yeah.
and we have a bike path in front of us. That bike path was the childhood for me, right? But recently, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I can't really use that bike path anymore because honestly, it's not even a bike path anymore. It's a homeless path.
They drive cars.
There's 10 cars drive by there, motorcycles drive
Is that
by
the
there.
Johnson Creek?
No?
No.
Colgate and Powell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long
It's just like it, Loretta.
Yeah, it's very similar to Springwater. They intersect.
Yeah.
So it's honestly full of tents, full of garbage, full of needles as well,
Yeah.
full of, I mean, you name it, drugs as well. We can't even use that bike path anymore because of the fear we live in. That bike path, I used to take it to school. Now I can't even walk by there because I live with fear that maybe some random homeless guy comes up to me and says, hey, 50 for an hour? I live in fear of that.
Yeah.
I live in fear of that. Now I live even in more fear because my mother recently was diagnosed with hypertension.
That's the car
So
we're
she's-
driving yesterday.
So now she's at risk of having a heart attack any day now, right? While I'm off at school. So she needs at least 30 minutes a day to walk in the bike path. But now she lives in fear of being jumped, of being mugged, of being beaten or something. So, and my parents are really stressed at this moment because honestly, they call 311. Yeah, they call, right? And they do something, but it takes them 3 months. I don't know if it takes any of you longer to be listened to, but it takes for us at least 3 months. They come, they move them, they're back like in 30 days at least, or 3 days, even less.
The bike path specifically also is a huge challenge because it's one of those dumb things about our system where the city of Portland is in charge of the spring water, the state of Oregon is in charge of the 205 multi-use path.
Yeah.
And they don't, the state is deeply unresponsive to when the city calls in these things. They don't care. Even at the intersection of where those two paths cross, we know that like.
What about your GNA?
Yeah.
The agreement you have with
Oh.
ODOT.
Oh, the IGA.
Yeah, the
IG.
Yeah, we had that, but I mean, it is.
So it's your responsibility, right?
I don't know that, I don't believe the bike path, I think that the IGA with the ODOT, Oregon Department of Transportation, is specific to the sides of the freeway, like, and the on-ramps and off-ramps.
No.
But I think it is our responsibility, Char. I think it is our responsibility
Yeah.
because we need to be the voice.
Yeah.
I call
To
in
push
PG,
them.
I call in ODT, I call in Triman.
Yeah.
It's not my property.
Right.
It's not my property.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to come up with a solution.
The city of Portland has an IGA with ODOT. ODOT just doubled the funding to Portland Solutions.
Okay.
So the problem is that until you permanently solve the problem and have a place for these people to go, they're going to be right back. So you move them from one neighborhood, they go 2 blocks down to another neighborhood, and then you move from that neighborhood, and they go 2 blocks back to the place they're at. So so we're spending a lot of money. The city's spending a lot of money. The county is failing us.
Taking
The
the
city
money
is
and
not
putting it at the police.
The city is not really responsible for housing, for mental health services and drug addiction services. You guys get the brunt of the crap,
Right.
but it's not really your job.
Yeah.
So
Public safety is though.
yes,
True.
and so
Safety is our job.
yeah. So I don't know the answer. I would suggest we talk to FEMA, we talk to National Guard, we get some Army barracks set up, we get these people away from society that are service resistant, and we put them there until they decide that they want to get home.
No, you can't do that.
That's what I would suggest. We cannot have them in society if they don't want to get help.
Can I make another comment? I know I've talked a lot, but I was on a PMO meeting today, and I was the only one, I think, from this
You were.
community
Mm-hmm.
that was voicing exactly this going on. I will say,
Who was your contact at Pima?
Elizabeth O'Malley. And on that call, on that Zoom call, there is the police, there's fire, there's lots of different resources that do listen to what is going on in the area. And I have had them come in and clean up immediately some areas like that high drug trafficking
Right.
going on. But it doesn't, I mean, they're just like stomping out fires. They're not able to spend a lot of time, like I said, on this end of town because they're involved with Central East Side. So
Yeah.
we're stuck with this on a continual basis. And this young lady, I've seen people approach women thinking that they're ladies or women and they're young girls.
Right.
You see it, all this crap? Like, really? Come on. Need to change it up.
Well, we just need you guys to advocate like you are for us. Because as you said, the history of Portland, we've never had representation. We finally do. So we've got to rely on these two very smart people to advocate for us and get the rest of the city council. I don't know who's blocking the police from doing their job, but they should be going down the MVP, checking for warrants, checking for drug dealing, checking for stolen bikes, all that stuff. And they don't do it.
And then applying consequences.
We have to have.
But you don't have. And so so what I need from you all, I need you to come down to City Hall because I'm going to tell you. No. This is no. You won't get kicked out. So here's the deal. There are loud voices out there who want something totally opposite from what you're talking about. They want to use a different strategy, and their voices are really, really loud. Now, when we come out here, we hear this, but when we go into City Hall, we're hearing other things about expanding housing. Don't pick them up. Let's figure out ways to help folks. And I think what we've been doing the last 20 years, we have been helping folks to a fault.
Absolutely.
To a fault.
Amen, sister.
What Councilor Smith is saying is so important. If we can somehow get down to city council and tell our stories, it will help them greatly. Because all they hear from is the opposite side that doesn't care about public safety or us.
And it's not just City Hall. Remember, they are getting a new district office right on Halsey, near Gateway, at the Nick Fish building. So that is another place you guys can also go.
But
Will all the city
That
councilors
too.
be there?
No. So District 1, so I have an office that I opened up on Wednesday that's in the Nick Fish building. Right next door, Councilor Dunphy and Councilor Avalos are going to be next door at the building next door. But I have one now that's ready to go. But no, I know what I need. I need you to come to City Hall.
Okay.
I need you to come to City Hall and come to the meeting in the daytime so that you're able to talk to people. I can put something on the agenda so that people can really explain. And I'm thinking my head is turning right now because I'm thinking about doing a trip down to the
multi-use path.
Multi-use path?
Yes, exactly. So I can show them exactly what it is and to come down there with our public safety officers so they can see. So I can ask them on the spot, do you see what we're talking about? This is what people are telling us in our town hall meetings and in our neighborhood association meetings. That is going to be something that you cannot replace. That first-hand knowledge, that first look. And they're going to be forced, the public safety, we have a public safety office and we have police. It's not like we're trying to criminalize folks, but I know we have to have a presence of public safety. And I know if we can't keep it up, if we don't have a place for these folks to go, that we can take them and that they want to go and that they're in the right kind of mindset to accept, they're gonna be right back again. But I need my colleagues to see what me and Jamie are looking at and what you all are talking about to make the difference.
She really does, you guys.
Is it still 90 seconds down there to testify? 90.
It's usually 3 minutes.
Are they back to 3 minutes?
Yeah.
They're back to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I need you all to say, look, this is a problem. The way we are treating this problem right now, it's not sustainable, nor is it impactful. I don't know if you have people down there that are work for the city, have green jackets on, and they're walking and making sure that things don't get out of hand. But I think we need to do something, because what's happening right now, it's expanding. And I believe that East Portland, District 1, is the front door to the city of Portland. And we need to take care of what's around our front door, right? So let's organize a time that you all can come, and we can put something on the agenda so that you can really, I need you to tell my other 10 folks. And I also, concurrently, we need to schedule a tour with our public safety folks so that we can bring them down
That would be
and
great.
with community so they can see for themselves.
And you need to go to Park Rose, and you need to go out to Powell Butte and Rye neighborhood, and you need to go.
There's Gilbert.
Thank you, Councilors.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to add, I really, really appreciate the passion in this room, because the city has failed. The city has failed everybody in this room. The city has failed everybody out on the streets. We have done a terrible job as government to actually respond with any urgency or cohesive message or any real level of coordination. You know, the city and the county and their homelessness responses, there are different agencies that use the same acronyms to mean different things. Like, it's that level of insanity. I'm very sorry that this is the situation our city's in. I'm sorry that our government has failed to be responsive and has made you not feel safe in your
Take
homes.
that, guys, what is like now,
I know.
locked this Portland.
Yeah.
But it's not locked this area.
We've got to do more.
Kick it out.
Yep.
And the other thing,
I hope you hear that I'm genuine when I'm saying that. That, like, this is the issue of the day. This is the most important thing we can be worrying about right now. And please recognize that if there were easy solutions to this, it'd be done by now, right? If there were easy options to do these things, they would have been done. And there are stupid reasons for why we do things. There are incompetent reasons why we do things. There are different reasons for all these things, but we can do them all better. We can get this thing going, and I'm telling you that I don't take any personal offense at the passion in this room, because I know you guys just want this city to be better and you want to feel safe. So thank you for doing this. I'm not leaving. I'm just telling you this right now. And I also see more hands, but he's been.
Well, I was just curious. I guess the question I have is, why isn't Commissioner or Councilor Avalos here tonight?
I'll tell you, we are all.
Oh, it's busy. It's busy.
Events every night, and I can tell you we are all doing our best to be everywhere all at once, but she will be here.
About 4 years
Not
ago,
tonight, but,
the
yeah.
Washington Post dispatched a reporter to Portland to report on the homeless situation here. Like they don't have enough problems in DC,
Right.
but they came here.
Right.
So the name of the story, you can probably still find it, is called The Mansion on Emerson Street. That's my street in Northeast Portland.
Yeah.
It's about a person named Jeremy, excuse me, and his camping on an abandoned street, Northeast 87th Avenue, which I've been trying to maintain for the last 20 years myself. They pulled up the pavement and just let it go. It was supposed to be a green space, but it's just deteriorated into a garbage dump. And how this person, Jeremy, knows how to work the system, where they came in and swept his area, he moved across the street, they gave him food, clothing, camping gear, water, and then the clock reset, and they came in and carried out something like 8,000 pounds of trash that he left behind. The street is right by Helens View School. And it just dawned on me earlier in your presentation that the homeless campers in the RVs on 87th on Emerson between 87th and 89th enjoy a better street than the one that I live on with my neighbors that pay taxes. There are potholes in my unimproved street easily the size of that carpet and larger. And and they were supposed to come in and maintain it every 2 years, grade it and pave it. But the traffic to and from the homeless camps and the drug traffic, the cars speeding up and down the street, tear it up, and there's no repair. From what I understand, though, I may be incorrect on this, that at one time Portland considered this an unimproved roadway, is what it was officially titled. And they said they'd maintain it every 2 years. Now, from what I understand, about a year or so ago, PBOT reimagined these unimproved roadways as right-of-ways. So it's not a street anymore, it's a right-of-way. And now they have no obligation to maintain it whatsoever.
Let me tell you, help is on the way.
Okay.
Help is on the way, let me tell you.
One of the
Last month, I introduced a resolution called SIP. Can you say that? SIP. SIPP. That's what the mayor said. I like your SIP project. SIP stands for Sidewalk Improvement and Pavement Project.
Well,
and in that resolution, I am putting forward a resolution to pay for $400 million to exclusively fix, repair, and build sidewalks in District 1 and District 4. And the reason why I came up with that is because all of you all through the campaign, you talked about the sidewalks or lack of sidewalks. You talked about potholes and needing paving. Not only do we just need to do potholes, we need to pave the streets as well.
Okay.
And so that bill and resolution is coming up next week, Wednesday.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Yes.
Okay, my neighborhood, Sumner. By the way, my name's Dave Gansline. I'm sure you know who I am. But anyway, I'm the acting current Land Use and Transportation Director for the Sumner Neighborhood Association. And our neighborhood was annexed into the city some years ago on the promises of having paved streets and all that.
Exactly.
That's extremely expensive to put in storm drains and curbs and sidewalk.
So listen,
Okay.
I know that. That's why I put it for $400 million. Have you ever seen $400 million of an investment for this area?
Portland could blow through $400 million like I buy a soda pop.
But guess what? What I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you is we have never had this opportunity. In putting this forward, I've gotten a great response. We're not paying that with our general fund. We have limited revenue bonds that we already have approved up to $1.5 billion. But I'm going to use $400 million of that to come out here and go to these neighborhoods, fix those streets. Some of those sidewalks we can't afford to put a 4-foot or a 6-foot, and we can't do the drainage. And where we can't do that, we're going to pay to make those places safer to walk.
Okay, now that's what I'm going for. Now my street looks like the D-Day beachhead, Normandy Beach. But the one block over, Sumner Street, is just paved. There's no curbs, there's no sidewalks, nothing. It's just paved, and it works fine. That's the way 90% of the streets in unincorporated Northeast Portland are, and it works. What they've tried to do in the past when I've asked for street maintenance in Sumner neighborhood is they say form a LID, local improvement district. You pay for it yourself. You put in the ADA, the storm drains, this, that, the other thing. That would cost more than I paid for my house.
$35,000 would it cost.
I think it was about 70.
There is no argument about this. And so people, when I have told this to folks, I'll let you guys go. When I have told this to folks, what I'm planning to do, it's because of this very reason. We only make about $60,000 average a year.
That's a lot more than I do.
We cannot afford lids. And that's why I'm proposing that the city is gonna pay for these this time.
What
It's not gonna be, the ordinance says homeowners have to pay for it.
What I would humbly suggest
Yes,
is, what I've been told many times, is Portland has code or city, laws, ordinance, that the storm drains and sidewalks and ADA, all that has to absolutely be installed on a street.
not every single one. No, it does not.
Well, they made it sound to me like a,
Listen to me.
yes, dear.
I am trying to show you something and tell you something about what we're getting ready to do, right?
Okay.
We got support for this. This is a start. This is truly a start.
Okay.
I talked to people, and they said where we can't put those strength. A lot of folks don't want that either.
I don't want sidewalks, we don't need them. Just pave the
But-
damn street.
So that's why I called it. What, name my
Pave the damn
resolution.
street.
Fixing the
What does it stand
homeless
for?
first.
Oh, okay.
Fixing the homeless first.
We need that.
I don't care if my tires are blowing out, my shackles can need a change of that. Change and
It's not
homeless.
either or. We can do
No,
two
that's
things at
not what I
once.
needed. That's what I needed. That's what I'm right here.
I hear you.
Let's look at my face, how stressed every night. My neighbor, right there behind you, the people's homeless. We can't open up the windows because the people is smoking in behind you.
Right.
You think it's just like, on my street that's gonna blow in my tires? No, I want to fix this problem. 5 years.
I live on Sandy.
5 years.
I understand exactly what
5
you're talking
years.
about. I live on
5
Sandy
years.
Street. How about that?
2 years ago, one guy, he pulled me gun.
Yeah, there's no arguing with me. We have to do that. And that is why I need y'all to come down to City Hall, and we need to organize a tour so they can come out here and see right outside. I live on Sandy, and that's where all the RVs are. So I see it, I hear it, I smell it. I have homeless people walking into my yard. I live on a corner. They walk through my yard. They do the whole 9 yards. They pull out the trash out of my trash can. I am experiencing the same things that you are. But you know what?
No.
What I heard loud and clear is this young lady.
Yeah.
She cannot take her bike and she cannot walk to go to school and come back.
That's
And
right.
that right there, it hurts.
I
Your
am
wife.
the person where it's like every year I bike in all the Portland.
Yes.
5 years, not biking more. The last time, right there close in the airport, one of the guy, give me the bike, son of a bitch. 5,000 a bike?
Yes.
So
I
you're
hear you. Go
kind
ahead.
of blind, you're telling me that you have the same problem, and I'm sitting here believing that you're gonna fix mine when you can't fix your own.
I think I call the folks, they come and get them, and then they come back just like they
Yeah.
do. for
So
you.
why am I here?
So here's a few things. I don't think every homeless person has a drug problem or a mental health problem. I think we need to put more money into training and workforce development, because some of these folks can go to work.
Oh, yeah.
They won't.
Good.
They won't.
They won't.
A lot of them can, but they won't.
You're good.
They get everything handed to them. I'm saying what I see in this neighborhood. What he's saying, what I'm saying, what you can see right there on that board. These are people that are resistant
I know, there's several.
to anything that we suggest. They get everything given to them.
Yep.
We clean up after them. We give them tents.
Well, let me ask you this, what do you think we should do with them? Hold on, Deanne. What do you think we should do with them?
I think they should be held in accountability if they
In
don't
what kind of way?
abide
How
by
do
the
we hold them
law.
accountable?
Like prison?
Like whatever it takes.
If they,
No,
if
no,
they
no,
have
please,
tents,
If
if
it
they
was
have to
us-
sleep out in the rain
Yeah.
and be wet and cold and not have protection from tents and tarps and blankets and socks and new pants, they might not be so happy being homeless.
Why don't we put them in an RV barrack?
I mean, sure, but also a lot of them would die, right?
There is
That's
private
their
lakes.
choice. They choose not to.
We have done such a bad job though of being able to
before
respond.
we-
No,
Only one person can speak.
Before we all get sidetracked, I want to provide, because this is very relevant to what you both are saying.
Deanne, this is our, let us control the show. Hold on a second. We need to, I want want to hear your voices. I know we're only supposed to be here until 8 o'clock, and I want to be respectful of your time. So can we continue this conversation for a few more minutes? Sure. 8:30. You got 8:30. Okay, so 8:30. Okay,
Great.
perfect. I thought it was 7 to 8.
I just want to make sure we're not getting kicked out. Let's see now.
I want to hear your voices, and I want to create a list, and I want this to be my task force of folks who give me ideas on what we can do, because apparently whatever we've been doing, it's not working.
There's a Vibey Lakes, that they have a beautiful facility.
You know, I know about Bobby Lake. You know, I was the one who fought for Wapato.
I love Vibey Lakes. Why can't they go?
They're full. I mean, like it's an operating.
They're full.
Well, they're not to capacity. There's a difference. I think they can only they're only taking 250 people.
Yeah.
So, but they're not to capacity because actually
that's it. People do not. If we don't hold them in accountability, like either get off the street. We have so many services that we provide them. Medical. We go and we take care of their medical needs. In the tent, we go to them. We give them food. We give them clothing. We've given them tents that they throw over there and we pick them up. And we're paying for it. Why can't we hold them in accountability just like we're held in accountability? I guarantee you, if my husband and I took our motorhome down there tonight, because it's legal, they would tow our stuff in a heartbeat. And then they would fine me. But they don't do the same thing with other people. And I'm sorry, I'm not angry at you.
No,
Please don't.
So,
I am just so frustrated with the fact that we can't come up with a simple solution, and that's hold people in accountability.
So the governor's wife. We need to take that to the next 2 steps. Like I agree that there are folks out there who are criminals, and there are folks out there who are genuinely challenged, right? And we have done so bad at being able to serve any of them that we can't differentiate between the two right now.
Well, I can tell you who is, because I see them dealing drugs every single day. And the people that I see, and I'm sorry, I'm just frustrated.
No, I feel frustrated.
I understand that there needs to be a solution with people that are truly homeless. Yeah. But for the majority of people we see that you're talking to, now tell me if I'm wrong, are criminals.
That's right. And we just
and
don't
the police can't do anything about it.
We don't have 7,000 prison beds, right? We don't have 7,000 or capacity to arrest all 7,000 or 6,000 people who are on.
But look at the money that you're putting into building housing.
Yeah.
At extreme amount.
Sure, it's insane.
And
none of this works.
Sam Adams, when he was mayor years ago, had a 20-year plan to end homelessness.
Yeah.
Where did that go? You know, I've said that over and over. It just continues because we're not holding the people in accountability.
And that's the problem, is that it feels like the right answer, and I don't. But when you start fleshing out what the number is, like for example, if we passed a resolution, an ordinance tomorrow that said we're going to go arrest every single homeless person we see, the sheriff's office has told us they're not going to book them, right?
That's
so where do we put
them?
No, I know. But I'm just saying, like hypothetically, if that's the solution,
but we do have
right?
an ordinance right now that if we did pick people up, the sheriff is supposed to take them. We do have an ordinance on the books. We have to figure out ways how to safely, humanely, and have a compassionate understanding for people who have nothing. And to help those, like he said.
That's the mayor's plan.
That's
What are you doing to advance the mayor's plan?
It has to be through the budget. It's going through the budget, which is happening.
Are you going to vote to fund it?
Yeah. It's $28 million.
I don't know why it's like month number 4 or 5, and nobody talks about it in the agenda. It's like we got pink slides of visions and stuff like that. The mayor has a plan.
Yeah.
If you're not
The mayor has already given us his. He gave it to us early.
I maybe slightly disagree that they're just because somebody is sleeping outside doesn't necessarily mean that they are engaged in some other criminal activity. At the very least, the city needs to be providing people a safe place to sleep, and that never comes up on your agenda.
What can't they survive?
Well, it is going to come up in the budget. The mayor has already. He took about an hour and a half to talk about his project, and he is trying to put it in the budget. He's going to release it on May 5th, and we're going to talk more about it before we vote on the budget. And I have already said publicly, Jamie has already said publicly, that we support the mayor's plan.
Yeah, but
We want to give him an opportunity to be successful.
But
with
it
his
has to
plan.
go through the budget process. We have
Yeah.
to, and we don't have the money allocated there, and we can't just do it in the middle. I mean, legally, we're not allowed to just do it in the middle of April.
If we
We
had money.
have to wait until July, July 1st.
Well, yeah, but if we had money in contingency that we wanted to use, that is hanging out there, we could use it and say, let's start this now. But we don't. But we don't.
Oh, you know what? I know where I find the money. I'm gonna collect on the homeless people who are coming in my area. I'm gonna charge them $50 for night. Yeah? You want some money? Let's do that.
Okay.
Well,
And you tell me how that works out.
Maybe it's working. Maybe it's working.
Try it.
Maybe.
I've got a question.
No,
So
don't try it. It's dangerous.
I'm against the
No,
mayor.
it's it.
I'm against the mayor's plan because until we identify who are the service resistant and who are the service accepting, the service accepting, I'm all for the mayor's plan. It's those that are not service accepting that I don't think should be in society. And I think that's why we should set up some kind of barracks. If it's good enough for military personnel, get them somewhere dry, get them the showers, get them the food, all they want, but not in society where they can come and disrupt our lives.
You have to have the shelter first before you can identify those people.
I
You
don't
have to
agree
be
with
able,
that.
you have to be able to
I don't agree
say,
with
here's a
that.
place for you to sleep. And then when they say no, then you can talk about how you
And
address that.
I think that some of the folks who are service resistant, I think that the city, county, state, all metro have done such a terrible job of actually supporting those people who walk in and get caught on the floor and a bologna sandwich, and then are kicked out the next day. And then they show up to the next one and no one has any idea who this person is, or that person's caseworker disappeared. We have done such a terrible, terrible job of actually responding to the folks on the street that they don't trust it anymore. Why would you go to the shelter if at this point you see how crazy our system is and how it does not work between governments? Why would you think that anybody who I'm going to show up and you're actually going to help me? All I'm going to assume is that I'm going to be in a worse situation and I gave up my camping spot in the
Well, the other problem, Jamie, with Councilor Dunphy, the other problem with Mayor
call me Jamie,
Wilson's
that's cool.
plan is it realistic to expect those people to leave in the morning, go do whatever during the daytime, leave their stuff where it is, and then come back? I think it should be a 24-hour
It's
shelter.
just exponentially more expensive and harder to find the spaces. It's pretty easy to I won't say none of this is easy, but it's relatively easy to put 15 people in here at night in a church, but they need the room in the morning, right? And I tell you, I have deep concerns about the mayor's plan, but at least he has a plan, right?
He has a plan.
But I'll tell you what I'm worried about is during the ice storm, we had 50 paid workers out knocking on tents saying, hey, we got a bed for you tonight, we got warm soup, come with us, and they wouldn't leave. And I think part of that is because why would you give up your stuff and you're gonna lose the only human possessions you have to go for an overnight shit and a cup of ramen? And B, like, why would you trust that we're gonna actually be there the next day when you actually need us? When suddenly it's 33 degrees and that's warm enough and now you're back on the street and now you've lost your tent. Why would anybody trust? And especially, why would anybody do that in August? Why would they do that in July, right? I have worries about it and I need to see how the mayor is planning to address those things because otherwise it just won't work. But I do fully agree that we need to respond humanely to the situation on the streets, and we need to respond humanely to the folks who are living in the homes. We need to have carrot and stick. I'm not interested in putting people on a bus and driving them to Madras and leaving them at the old army barracks, but you know what I mean. But I mean, like, I think we have to until we have the capacity to say you can't sleep here, you can sleep there. We can't even begin the process of figuring out who are the ones who are service resistant, who are the ones who are just deeply broken and distrust the system, and who are the ones who are ready to get help today. We're not even at that point yet, and that's impossible to say and to feel good about because it's inexcusable. Like you said, we're 20 years into the 10-year plan to end homelessness, and everybody just points fingers. I don't want to point fingers. I want to be responsible for the outcomes to the best of my abilities. And like I said, you're right. You're right to feel frustrated that it's been 4 months and there's not more action to see, but also it's just how these stupid things work. And I'm frustrated by it too. I mean, right now it takes us almost 2 months to just pass an ordinance because that's how lawmaking is supposed to happen, right? It's supposed to be slow, otherwise people get really crazy.
How about cutting off the benefits? I don't mean harass them, beat them up, run them out of town. There was a story on PDX Reel, Angela Todd, about there were a photojournalist, pair of them, walking around downtown during the freezing weather in February. They claimed they saw nobody from the homeless industrial complex helping anybody. So I don't mean rouse these people or anything, but it's no secret that other cities bust their problems here. Just stop the benefits. Don't hurt them or anything, just taper it off. Reduce the incentive for them to be in Portland.
Are you going to look at the IGA? The one in the
What?
county?
Oh.
They're not doing their job.
Oh, the joint office.
Yeah.
I'm out of my mind frustrated by the county. I am actively talking to the commissioners. What's her name?
There's so many, pick one.
Yeah, right. The ones for our area. Julia Jones and Julia Brim Edwards. Sorry, I'm actually meeting with her tomorrow. I like her. We're trying, and I also with Shannon Singleton and Megan Moyer as well. I don't understand what the hell is going on there right now, or why the system is so ineffective and lacks any urgency. I don't understand why they are. It seems to be staff-driven in terms of the ideological approach to the work. It seems to not have any leadership from the elected officials level, and I'm very frustrated that they're not meeting the letter of the agreement that we have in place.
I will tell you.
Can we be a fly on the wall on that meeting?
I'll probably post about it on my Instagram.
Please do.
I was there for 8 years. There's a philosophy at Multnomah County, and it's called Housing First Model.
Yes.
Yep.
Basically, what Multnomah County is doing, they're running a Section 8 program.
Mm-hmm.
And when they say housing first and rent assistance, it's not like just, you need help with getting your back rent because you lost your job for 6 months. These people have been on long-term Section 8, and that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why we still see these 5,700 people that are unsheltered, and people say, you get all this money, they don't understand a good portion of that money, and I would say 60 to 70% of that money is spent on rent assistance. It is not to get the people off of the street, and that's the frustration. I fought with the county, I fought with Chair Kafori about opening up Wapato that was in my district. We could actually hold 1,500 people.
Yes.
Yes.
It was scaled up for that many people to be jailed there. We can hold 1,500 people. It has 6 levels to it. Industrial showers, industrial kitchen, spaces to do wraparound supports on the first level. It is an amazing place. And when I left and got turned out, just before I left, they sold Wapato from up under me so that I would stop talking about it.
You came to our meeting that
No,
night.
really.
We remember
You did.
that.
Remember that?
Yeah,
And
and
they
so
sold
I
it
was
for peanuts.
$1.
Yeah.
and I ran into Marty Kehoe yesterday by accident. He was at the city of Portland in a meeting, and I walked into a meeting that I wasn't supposed to. I thought I was going to that meeting, and Marty Kehoe, who was the original holder of that, and I called him the night before, and I said, Marty, I'm going to tell you, I am not going to vote for the sale tomorrow. And it's not because it's personal. It's because I think you're going to flip it. This is not your book of business, warehousing.
Yeah.
You're a developer. And so he says, no, I'm going to do it. And that's why, I got the chair to tell me that I can reduce the price. I thought it was going to take him about 3 months to flip it. He flipped it in 3 minutes. He did a double close.
Yes, he did.
And thank God for Jordan Snitzer. Because Jordan understood that this needed to be used for a homeless shelter and a crisis center. Jordan bought it from him because he knew he didn't really want it. He made $1 million. We sold it to him. He said that he would pay $9 million for it. He convinced the chair to reduce it to $5 million.
Right.
26 acres on the Columbia Slough with over 300 square feet of perfectly good, pristine building, because no one has ever slept there. And we sell it for, if I had $5 million, I would have bought it. He sold it for $6 million, made $1 million in 3 minutes. They did a double closing.
What can Portland do to get rid of Metro? Metro exists only in Portland. No other city in America enjoys this additional layer of bureaucracy. How much do they spend? How much do they waste? And why do we need them? What do they do?
Transportation.
The zoo.
That's it?
The urban growth boundary.
Oh, brother.
Arts and events.
They run a couple of cemeteries.
They buy up a lot of land and take it away.
They do a lot of land banking.
The convention center.
But that's
Big whoop.
I know.
But that's the issue. We need to land bank more. We need to spend some money on land banking.
I have a theory that that's actually a feature, not a bug. That actually having the old form of government in the city where we were all siloed, and then we have all this dumb layering of government on top. I think that's a feature. I think that's an old cowboy west in us. I think that our founders of this region didn't want anybody to have enough power to be able to do anything.
Well,
They
succeeded.
But you know, at the city of Portland, we actually changed the form of government so we can actually do things, and I think that we have an opportunity with the county. And I don't think enough people have any idea what Metro does in order for them to put up any real resistance, so we can actually start solving the problems of our community.
I'm a precinct committee person in House 45 and Senate 23. I attend Twee Fahn's meetings. She's had the homeless Housing First activists in there saying that you take these people off the street, put them in a house, everything will be fine. That's what almost destroyed the roadway
And that's what I was,
Park
and that's what I
Roads.
was telling you. That is the philosophy of Multnomah County. They have this housing first. And anyone who has a idea about at least sheltering people at night or for 24 hours, they try to shut them down. I got totally shut down for even mentioning putting folks in shelters because it doesn't make sense.
Our governor wants to add 30,000 housing units a year for the duration of her time in office. And then last year, Bureau of Oregon Forestries put another 1 million or some acres off limits to timber harvesting. Where are they going to get the materials to build these housing, and how much will it cost? We had the abundance of trees right here, but they don't want to use them. The few that could bring down housing costs and build more shelter. But on the rate people are leaving Oregon, especially Portland, are we going to need all this housing, or is it going to stand empty?
You're going to require me to do math in public to answer that question.
Just wait till next Wednesday morning. We'll get my phone.
Right. No, I mean, we can sit here and we can create a list of 1,000 things that's going on, but what I do know is public safety, homelessness, making sure that people feel safe in their neighborhoods those are the big three. And so
one step at a time.
And so
I think so many of us in this room really truly appreciate both of you and us. The words frustration, though, are just not strong enough because we live not far from the I-205 multi-use path that maybe not even everybody on the city council is even aware of. Our neighborhood was shut down for 5 hours because some campers on the I-205 multi-use path got into an armed standoff with police. You can Google the pictures of it. There were military-style vehicles, people in flak jackets drove 2 years ago.
Okay.
Nothing has changed. So frustration, that term, to be frank, it feels condescending. We have military operations occurring in our neighborhoods. People are living in abject fear. There are fires occurring in our neighborhoods because of just unsanctioned camping and all of this. I think the tour is an interesting idea, but frankly, there's at any given moment 100 people living at the interchange of I-205 and Foster. If anybody needs a tour, it's a little shocking.
So
but it's
I want to bring them out to the destination.
Take them up to
where they talk
Juanita's
about,
house. Yeah.
Right. And I want to bring them out, and I want them to see what this young lady is seeing in her 16-year-old eyes as she's trying to figure out whether to take the path to go to school or come back.
She's not
So
going
they
to
can-
take the path.
She won't take the path.
Right.
Which is a shame.
And that's what,
Taken away.
that is the takeaway on this, and that is the reason why I want them to come out. I want them to understand what she has to go through and what her neighbors have to go through, so they really can feel. Now, we had a tour. We went on a tour of our Safe Rest villages. People were prepared for us when we got there. Everything was nice. We had, good conversations. We were given all these great examples of how we've helped people. But we haven't been on that tour where we're seeing people who are vulnerable, who are breaking the law, who need help, and who are service resistors and don't know what to do. We haven't seen that yet. And we need to see that.
How can that be? It's been going on for more than 10 or 15 years.
No. But I'm talking about in terms of a
Jamie's
organized.
seen it.
I've seen it.
We've seen. I mean, like we haven't gone on an organized as a council.
As a council.
We haven't gone and done that.
So you're saying the other councilors have?
Yeah.
I'm sure they've seen
They've
it. You
seen
know,
it in their neighborhoods. But what I'm saying
right.
is, if you want us to really take a look at this and try to stop this, we need to bring them here.
And we need to bring ourselves to where they are.
Yes.
We need to talk to the other people, to drown out the homeless advocates, etc., so they get our viewpoint. And the other thing, can I suggest, if you guys do that tour, is bring the county commissioners with you, Moyer, etc., so they can also feel it.
Yes, do you have questions?
And don't comment in the day.
No.
Okay, the day is clean.
I went on a police ride along the other night with the.
Why the police?
With
Walk about the stall.
until like 3 in the morning. I mean, I do. I also I've been actively cleaning up the camps at Rocky View by my house for the last 3 years. I personally pulled out 2,000 pounds of trash.
Right now, every neighbor, I think they have a safety.
Oh, it's worse than it's ever been.
There's a stream of people in the last week or so.
Ma'am, can you tell me your name and say your question, because I haven't heard your voice.
Virginia Peterson.
Okay,
I
Ms.
live in
Peterson.
Sumner, and where I sit, I can look up 91st, and about this time of year, there's a constant stream of new people going up into Rocky View.
Yep.
And there's one guy that lives up there year-round, he was put in one of those safe rest deals.
Villages, safe rest villages.
Less than 2 weeks later, he was back at Rocky View.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta follow the rules.
He comes down, goes to the Crossroads Church and gets food on Thursdays, and they let him do it every week, not every other week like most people have to. He gets food stamps because he's got a post office box, and he cuts neighbors' yards for $20 an hour.
Do that.
Jeremy?
But he doesn't have to count that money because it's cash.
Right. Well, all I can say is he's doing a whole lot more than others are doing.
Yeah.
They're basically taking.
Yeah, but he's destroying stuff up there.
No, it's true. And I live relatively close to Rocky View, and I walk my dogs over there, and I started going. I've been personally trying to restore the trails back there for the last 4 years. I've been, hauling. I take a trash bag with me and a clipper every time I go, and I led a solve cleanup over there, where we in one day got more than a ton of trash out of there. And I started a process specifically for that to try and get that turned into an actual park. Because right now, Rocky View, I don't know if almost none of you, I'm sure, have ever actually hung out on Rocky View, because it's weirdly isolated. It's like that one right along I-205 and 84.
Where 911 used
We used to hang out in our hot rods there back in the day.
Yeah, and when I-205 got installed there, it got largely ignored, and it's partially owned by ODOT, it's partially owned by the state, it's partially owned by the county, it's partially owned by the city.
And
So
there's
nobody
private
owns it.
residences.
Yeah, and there's private residences on top. I'm talking about the 20 acres that are along the freeway. So like I've been personally taking it on myself to try and make that a thing, and now that I'm in office, I'm going to do the next level and try and make sure we keep that a permanent thing. But every single part of our community has one of those things, one of those areas where it is a potential to be a gem, and right now it's an absolute turd. And truly, I mean, government has shown we don't have the capacity to be able to be everywhere at all times, and I want to figure out how we can also think about empowering neighbors the way that I just sort of went in and decided to go do it. Because it is going to require all of us to approach it. As we've talked about tonight, everybody is hurt. Like, you know, it seems like there should be answers to these things, and there just aren't with the tools we have right now. So we have to think about what tools we need and how we actually are going to empower neighbors to make this work. Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Shar, I see 3 takeaways from this.
Yes.
The first is we will organize a tour and come out here, you say at night? Is that a better time?
I would say, yeah, 6 o'clock.
Every
and then
night,
we'll get off
every
work.
night.
Every night.
Okay,
Make sure you
we'll
sign
raise
the
that
sheet here
tour.
so I can get a hold of you when she decides to organize this. I can let you know and get a hold of you.
And the second piece is that y'all are gonna come down to City Hall and we find the opportunity for you all to testify for 3 minutes about what's going on.
How do we find out about that?
I
I connect
can
with
do that.
Shar.
Yeah, just give me your information on the sign sheet and then I'll get a hold of you.
And the third thing is, we're gonna try to figure out if we can put some other teeth in the IGA that would identify opportunities for them, for us to put more substantive things in that they actually act on.
What is IGA?
I'm sorry, the intergovernmental agreement with Multnomah County. We give Multnomah County $31 million a year to pay for homeless services. And they basically run it through the joint office. We have an IGA of things that we want to do jointly, but it seems like it never works out, that we're getting the things done. And that's why we created Portland Solutions, that Mayor Wheeler created Portland Solutions, because he wasn't seeing the movement with the quickness that he thought it should have been. And I feel him. Being on the council for the last 3 months, it has opened my eyes to so much that I have never ever seen before. I've been in government all of my adult life. I raised a son as a single parent, and I'm telling you, I thought that was tough work. But this is really tough work, trying to figure out how do we deal with service resistors, how do we deal with getting people wraparound supports, and how do we build enough housing that's affordable so that even middle income housing, that people who want to move to a different level, that they have an opportunity to. This stuff isn't easy, y'all, and you have to work, like Jamie said, we have so many jurisdictions that we have to work with to even make one thing go. But one thing that you'll always be able to know from me, and I'll call, that if you call my office, if you call me, Shar has my number, and we've talked late at night about stuff, I will respond to you all. I feel you. Like I said, I live off of Sandy. I know exactly what you're dealing with. I've called people. I've called Portland Solutions even before I was a city councilor. And I've talked about the RVs, the unsanctioned. Listen, I come off of 84, come down by 182nd, go by the Red Apple. Y'all familiar with the Red Apple?
Used to be on Killingsworth.
Yeah, it's opposite of the Red Apple. There's so many RVs that are lined up, and they literally have fires.
Yes.
They have fires. They're throwing stuff in with fires. And I used to call. I don't call no more because they're constantly, they need some heat. They're cold. They have hazmat eligible RVs that they're sleeping, and God knows what else they're doing in that. And then we report them. They get it all cleaned up, like it's real cleaned up right now, but they moved down to 148.
They moved down here.
They don't go that far. They won't go that far. No, they know the routine. So I hear you. Unless we're willing to take some really aggressive, real world kind of ways to deal with this, we don't have enough money to house all these folks. And like you all said, they're not gonna take care of it. That's just gonna be another hazmat eligible place that no one can use again. But we have to figure out how to, if 50%, the data show that 50% of the people who are in our homeless shelters, that they were working, they just could not afford to pay for housing. If you look at some of the more high barrier shelters, people are going to work every day. They just can't afford the high rent.
How about a Portlandized version of Doge?
We need that.
That'll probably get me killed.
Yeah. Be careful. You know, I gotta say, you're not wrong. I think that, here's an example. The way that the city does everything, right? I'll just give you an example. They sent me a magazine. They said, here's the furniture you can get for your office. It had one ugly couch. It was $4,000. I literally got on the phone. I was like, what the hell is this? And they go, well, the city has our, we want to make sure it's flame retardant, and we want to have a warranty, and we want to make sure that it's this, and we want to make sure that, and basically we priced ourselves out of the market, made it so that there's one person who can actually be responsive to it. Each of these good layers is has great intentions, and leads to us doing absolutely nothing, right?
Yes.
Truly. And so
A preferred vendor.
Yeah, right. And so I just read
Who's
the book.
getting that kickback?
You know,
Yeah.
There's a book that I've been talking about to anybody because it's the talk of the town right now. But it's by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson called Abundance, and it's exactly that. It's the idea that liberal cities have put good intention themselves into incapacity.
I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I grew up next door to Detroit.
Yeah.
Talk to me. But Detroit is coming back.
Right.
I was in Toledo last summer for a Mud Hens game. Downtown is spotless.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they wrote that city off 40-some years ago in the auto industry.
I just hope we
Grand
don't.
Rapids, my mom worked for General Motors, so I know exactly what you're talking about. They didn't play them games in Grand Rapids. They were doing other things, like probably selling Amway, but I just want to say to you, thank you all from the bottom of my heart that you stayed here and to talk to us and give us ideas of what we should be doing or shouldn't be doing. And regardless of where we have to go, I'm coming. I'm going to listen and I'm going to respond. And so we're going to try to get those three things in motion.
So I have a thought. If you'd like folks to come to a city council meeting, how many people in the room here would drive downtown?
Well, there's no place to park when you get there.
That's right.
How
If you
about
can get there.
chartering a bus and get a bus load of people down?
That's a thought.
Yeah.
Could Met or TriMet fork over a bus or something for an excursion like that?
You might be able to get you something.
Okay.
I just want to say also, thank you both very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And please, if anything that we can do to help you guys, please rely on us. Let Char or David know, and they'll let us know what we can do to help you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for sharing this knowledge.
Don't give up on Portland.
Not yet.
Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.
Give me a